Turkish Airlines.
CNN presents The Coming Storms, Sunday, 8 Eastern.
Let's bring in our political panel. Tim Carney, senior political columnist for the Washington Examiner, Maria Cardona, Democratic strategist, and John Avlon, senior political columnist for the Newsweek, The Daily Beast. Maria, let's start with you. You've been listening to this as we have. It does sound like the Republicans are not all that enthused about the idea that they're going to get their amended bill passed tonight, going back to the Senate and have the Senate look at it again. In fact, they seem to be resigned to the idea that that this is just going to be an up or down vote and it is going to pass.
Right. You know, Allie, when all this started rolling itself out in terms of the Republicans in the House not being very happy about this, kicking and screaming, saying they wanted to amend it, I thought to myself, do Republicans, especially those in the House, really have a political suicide wish? Because that's what we're really looking at if they are the ones to be blamed for all families and all small businesses' taxes going up if we don't get this deal. And then I started hearing inklings of what we're talking about here. I talked to Democrats. I've even talked to some Republicans basically saying that the amendment is not going to get the votes. And then I heard Congressman Murphy, Congressman Cole, who are really sounding much more of a rational tone. And it seems to me that all the kicking and screaming was probably necessary for Speaker Boehner to be able to say, we tried to get this, the amended pieces that you wanted done. We couldn't. Let's now vote for what we know will pass and what this country needs.
Tim Carney, I mean, it's an interesting analysis, but John Boehner tried to bring that whole Plan B thing. Didn't work. He got smacked by the right of his party. He really was outside of these negotiations for the last few days. Do you think John Boehner was really even trying at this point? I think he knew the up and down vote was going to save his bacon. He was going to get a bill passed that they would have gotten the blame for if it didn't get passed. At this point, it almost looks like he was doing what he had to do.
Well, yeah, he's got elements in his party that definitely wanted to address spending, and he had to demonstrate that they did not have the votes to address spending today. Spending needs to be cut. It needs to be cut, and he said, look, we're going to have to cut it later. Right. So he had to walk through that. So a lot of this blow-up about, oh, Republicans are blowing up this bill, no, there was just an idea that if we don't talk about spending right now, it seemed like it was spineless.
Tim, hold that thought for a second. I want to bring in Republican Congressman David Schweikert from Arizona. Congressman, you're not going for this. Everything I just said sounds like a bunch of baloney to you. You are not going to vote in favor of the bill as it stands, the Senate bill.
Well, sorry about saying this about baloney, but
it's okay. I won't take offense.
But seriously, let's walk through the political theater of the last 6 weeks.
Sure.
How many times did the left-leaning media or all the other debate around us, we want a balanced approach. We're going to do a balanced approach. This piece of legislation that just came to the House from the Senate spends about, what is it, $330 billion new dollars. How's that a balanced approach?
Okay, so I'm not sure who you're talking about with respect to the left-leaning media. I've never used the term.
I mean that more in the, think of the political theater we've gone through in the last 6 weeks.
Okay, but let's think about the political theater we've gone through for 518 days, right? If you want a balanced approach, 500 days ago, 400 days ago, 300 days ago, 200 days. I mean, honestly, you can't expect we were getting a big deal this weekend or this week, right?
Well, I could expect, though, the president and many of those on the Democrat side would have lived up to their own language of a balanced approach.
Right. Okay, fair enough. We don't have that deal. What we have is something that's going to stop us from going over the fiscal cliff. Is that worse than not getting the balanced approach right now and living to fight another day?
Well, here's the reality, and this is one I think the panel should actually share with the viewers.
Yep.
This is probably what 2013 looks like.
Sure.
We're going to have the debt ceiling. We're going to have the continuing resolutions. This is what our future looks like because the issue before us is about debt and spending. It is about the explosion of the costs and the entitlements. This is our reality, and you've just seen in what just happened tonight how hard it is to have that conversation
and this is the problem,
deliver the votes on debt and spending.
That's the problem. It's not that I don't think there's all that much disagreement amongst thinking people that this is a real problem. How our budget goes and how our deficits grow and how that's a real problem. What is remarkable to people as we watched it is the dysfunction with which people whom we elect to arrive at these compromises and to negotiate seem to have been unwilling to negotiate.
Well, but think about what you've seen the last couple of weeks. Beat on the conservatives. They're being hard-nosed. They're demanding too much spending. Well, here we are, the evening of the vote. How much spending changes in the bill? It goes up. If I had come to you 3 weeks ago and said the final vote will be raising spending, you would have thought I was a lunatic. Well, guess what? This is what we got.
Right.
And it's a demonstration of the bad faith that this president and Harry Reid and the gang over there have negotiated in.
Well, you had me. You had me until you blamed everything on the Democrats. So there's no Republicans responsible for any of this.
No, one more time. If you were going to engage in the rhetoric of the balanced approach, and the final piece of legislation that marches over to the House spends more money, well, how is that even close?
Fair enough. It's now the 11th hour was last night. It's now beyond the 11th hour. What's going to happen tonight? Is this bill to attempt to amend the Senate plan going to work, or are you going to have an up and down vote? And if you're going to have an up and down vote, you're not voting for it, right?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I have no idea where the whip count is on trying to change some of the mechanics within the sequestration so they actually have better, longer-term cost savings.
Yep.
But with that, it's also the bill will move forward.
Yep.
I'm going to vote no.
You are going to vote no, okay.
I'm absolutely going to vote no. And part of this actually breaks my heart because I was struggling to find a way to get to yes.
But you can. I give you a way to get to yes. You get to yes, and as of tomorrow, you can start talking about spending. The Democrats have nothing else to hang their hat on, right? I mean, once you take the tax increases away.
But you understand what you just said is continue to do what we've done the last couple of years, and we've done for years now, is, well, we'll have that conversation tomorrow. It's too hard to do it right now.
But, sir, you do
at some point,
you've got the debt ceiling debate.
You have to actually have the conversation and do it.
But you do have a debt ceiling debate coming up. You do have a 2-month delay on the sequestration, and you have a budget. You have 3 absolute deadline opportunities to have this conversation and not take the country over the fiscal cliff.
Go back to your shows a year and a half ago, August 2011, when we had the debt ceiling battle then.
Yes.
Your own shows.
Yes.
Oh, you're going to push us off of our credit rating.
Absolutely, you're right. I've been on this thing the whole time.
But now for you to turn and say, oh, you can have the debate on spending.
I would rather we are not in this position, Congressman.
We're regurgitating
you and I are in the same place. I would rather we not be having this ridiculous situation that we're in right now. I just think all of it would be worse if we went over the fiscal cliff. That's all I'm saying. I agree with you. I'd rather we not be backed into this corner.
Can I give you... I agree with you about halfway. The other half is I worry about the fixed income markets are continuing to selling debt. I mean, we're still borrowing about $4 billion every single day.
But you know what it costs us,
how many
We're
more,
at 1.7%. We're the cheapest in the world.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is small incremental increases in our borrowing costs are devastating when you have about, $12 trillion that's publicly held debt. So even the increased revenues the president was talking about last week didn't even cover the additional borrowing costs in 2013. This was an absurd debate.
I'm glad to hear you're a viewer. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Whatever decision you make, I wish you the best in your deliberations tonight. Congressman David Schweikert of Arizona. Coming up next, who wins and who loses?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm on it. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You're covered, Kevin.
Thanks, Melinda.
I have blah blah insurance, so person, come help.
Hey, Grandma. Look who it is.
I see who it is.
6 callers ahead of us, Jimmy.
You're not helping.
Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. There to help you anytime, anywhere, anyway. That's getting to a better state.
At ChristianMingle.com, you can join the largest, fastest growing community of Christian singles and find God's match for you, the way we did. Joining is easy and free at ChristianMingle.com.
People think I used a treadmill.
Or a stepper. Or an elliptical.
To lose 50, 88.
45 pounds.
But they're blown away when I tell them I just walked.
Walked on a tread climber by Bowflex.
This is the new tread climber machine by Bowflex that combines a treadmill, stepper, and elliptical into one walking workout to burn up to 3.5 times the calories of a treadmill.
Being a single mom, the last thing I wanted to do was go spend another hour or two in the gym. I lost 50 pounds. First time in my life I feel like I've actually found something that works.
Call or go online for your free info kit to see how in just 30 minutes you can burn up to 3.5 times the calories of a treadmill, and without the stress that running can put on your joints.
I always had this skinny me in my head. I lost 73 pounds. The person I was before, I want to shake her and say, you could have changed your life way earlier.
So why run when you can walk your way to a better body? Call now for a free info kit and access to our new online brochure.
This is a lucky marzipan pig, which in Germany is a symbol of riches and wealth and strength and fertility. And at New Year, you give it to those you love to wish them luck. And sometimes, to be especially lucky, they'll be ridden by what Fred has in his hand.
Yeah, this is a chimney sweeper, which is also a big tradition here in Germany. It's also a symbol of good luck, especially if you touch the buttons on the chimney sweeper's coat. Happy New Year from Germany.